Hey guys, it's Shy of the Shy Normal. As I've gotten older, I've gotten strangely more and more interested in old iPhone apps. It's interesting to think about just how much it's changed over the years. Or maybe it's not interesting and I'm just weird. That's entirely possible as well. I was surprised to see just how many games I used to play back in the day that either no longer exist in the App Store or that no one really talks about anymore. And I thought it'd be interesting to cover some of these in a video. So here it is. Today I will be discussing games that are no longer downloadable in the Apple App Store. Let's get into it.
Because it's my channel and I have a problem, of course we're going to be discussing some old Disney apps. Although they still release games under the name Disney Mobile, their current apps tend to have more of a focus on Disney properties and characters coming together, while their old games have more of a focus on individual movies. Every time a new animated or live-action Disney movie was released, Disney would release a new promotional game for Android and iOS to go along with it. The quality of these games would range from being actually fun and enjoyable to making you question why it was even made in the first place. One of the earliest examples of these mobile games that comes to mind was this Toy Story 3 matching game and this Tangled slide puzzle type thing, both of which bored the hell out of me even as a kid. Maybe I'm a bit biased because this is one of my favorite Disney movies, but one of the best old mobile games from Disney in my opinion was this Wreck-It Ralph one, which I still have downloaded on my old iPod Touch and iPad. The paid version, which I had to beg my dad for, consists of 5 minigames. Fix-It Felix, Sugar Rush Sweet Climber, Hero's Duty, Turbo Time, and Hero's Duty Flight Command. There was also a not-so-surprising number of Temple Run and Subway Surfer clones, with Brave, Return to Oz, and Big Hero 6, just to name a few examples. It was around this time where I started to become less and less interested in these types of promotional games. I'm sure everyone watching this video is familiar with Angry Birds to some extent. Arguably one of the most well-known mobile games, Angry Birds was released in late 2009 and is still going strong by releasing and updating its spin-offs today. I'm not gonna lie, I never really got into Angry Birds as a kid. I would download the games, play them for about half an hour, and then never touch them again. They just weren't really my cup of tea. However, I know that there are plenty of teens and young adults who were really into the games back in the day. As I'm sure the biggest fans of the series have noticed in recent years, the original game, along with some of its classic spin-offs, are no longer available for download. This is exactly what inspired me to make this video in the first place. I was scrolling through Instagram and saw an ad for Angry Birds 2. The comments were filled with angry people screaming to bring back the original Angry Birds. I checked the App Store and sure enough, the games I played as a kid were gone. However, I do still have a few of them on my old iPod, and I played the games again as an adult, and I still couldn't get into it. I mean, sure it was nostalgic, but I still got bored after like less than 10 minutes. When looking for the reason behind the games disappearing, I saw an article from IGN that was posted back in June of this year. The article essentially states that the developers couldn't keep up with the development of mobile technology, but they're working on bringing back the old games in the near future. The article includes this statement from Rovio, the developers of Angry Birds, saying, "What we want to say though is, we hear you. There's a big outcry for getting back some of the older fan favorites. We also want to say we're working on it. It may take a while, but we have something in the works." But just a few lines down, this quote is also included. The older games were designed in a completely different era of the mobile gaming industry, one that wasn't prepared for live services and constant content and technological updates that many players expect and demand from today's mobile gaming experiences. We are constantly trying new things to bring you new and fun games. So I guess I'm confused if they're actually going to bring back the old games, because those two statements, at least in my opinion, completely contradict each other. Okay, so I know this game is still in the App Store, so technically it doesn't fully fit the topic of this video, but I still really wanted to talk about the incident surrounding this game, because looking back, it was just completely absurd. Talking Angela was a spin-off of, at the time, the popular Talking Tom app. When I was younger, I had pretty much all of the Talking Friends apps on my iPod. I just thought they were the funniest thing ever. If you download Talking Angela today, you'd see that the app appears to be no different than the other Talking Friends apps. However, it wasn't always like this. The game was released in 2012 and was my favorite among all the Talking Friends apps because you could actually have a conversation with Angela through the text function. I still have this version of the app on my basically unusable iPod Touch. I was in 6th grade when this app came out, and I was entertained by it for hours at a time. I would purposely try to ask Angela questions just to piss her off, and I thought I was a comedic genius with some of the questions I came up with. However, in early 2013, a rumor started to spread around that it wasn't a robot asking kids these questions, but instead one individual man that could see you through his camera and is talking to all the users of this app at once. And yeah, people actually believed it. I first heard about this rumor from a friend of mine who told me that you could literally see the man through Angela's eyes, which to this day I still was never able to actually see. I was 11 at the time, so at first it sounded like one of those rumors that kids made up to try to scare others, but I was an anxious and paranoid kid, so I deleted the app anyways. I was shocked to find out that not even 1 week after my friend told me about the app, that it made it on the news. Again, just watching this clip, I can't help but laugh at how seriously people were taking this rumor. I mean, the kids I can understand, but the adults? Really? Part of me is kind of wondering if maybe they aired this news story to paint the picture that phones are bad for kids. Okay, yeah, I will admit some of the questions she asks are a little weird considering that kids play these games, but I seriously doubt it was one man collecting all this information from all the users at once. Not too long after this story made rounds, the developers released an update that got rid of the chat function altogether, and I completely lost interest in Talking Friends after that. Not necessarily because they got rid of the feature specifically, but more because I was in middle school and I was starting to kind of grow out of stuff like that.
I wanted to finish off this video with games that don't fit into a specific category, but I still wanted to talk about, but also didn't have much to say. I wrote the script like 2 months ago at like 5 in the morning, like I finished it off at like 5 a.m. So this like whole segue into this part of the video makes literally no sense. So I put in the script just in giant words, ad lib, and I can't ad lib. So yeah, here's some miscellaneous games that didn't make it into any of these categories, but I still wanted to briefly talk about. Yeah, here they are.
Cookie Dozer. One of my first iPhone apps. It was basically a coin pusher, but with treats. It was insanely addicting and introduced me into the exciting world of gambling at age 10. I got it again as an adult and ended up playing for over an hour without realizing it, so that's cool. DizzyPad, also known as Pocket Frog Splash. This was made by the creators of Pocket Frogs. It was basically an arcade game where you have to get your frog to land on spinning lily pads. To play as other colored frogs, you had to reach specific goals as you played. For example, to get this brown frog, I had to jump on 4 lily pads in a row without falling in the water. If I could choose one game to bring back to the App Store, it would definitely be this one. Cookie Dough Bites Factory. You know those weird cookie dough bite things that you could buy in the movie theaters? Yeah, they actually made a game out of them, and it was really fun. It essentially is a timed game where you have to make the perfect box of bites, without making mistakes before the time runs out. I loved it as a kid and I had fun replaying it as an adult.
Although most of these games were not very good, I'm still pretty nostalgic for them because they were some of the first games I played on a mobile device. Did you play any of these games growing up? Was there a game that you played that I didn't cover in this video? Feel free to talk about it down in the comments below. And that pretty much wraps up this week's video. I did not mean for that to rhyme. I hope you enjoyed this slightly different style of content. I'm still planning on covering lost media videos in the future for this channel. It's just, to be honest, I was starting to get a little burnt out on the type of content I usually make. I'm not completely straying away from it. I'm hoping to talk about more obscure pieces of media along with lost media, if that makes sense. So I will be still doing lost media, just not as often as I used to. For example, I'm starting a new series where I cover forgotten / hard to find Disney movies. And I think that kind of ties into lost media. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot to me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!